Oh, I think some people owe this series an apology. Now, not everyone. Back when Gentle had his arc, I'm not saying it was universally hated, but I do remember seeing in all sorts of comment sections people talk about, why are we focusing on this random meme of a character, this one-off villain, this blah blah blah. Now here, I get it. Maybe at the time you wanted to focus on something else. But it doesn't change the fact that I thought it was a pretty damn good arc with Labrava and Gentle. I thought it was a good arc. It was enjoyable, and I was satisfied with the overall conclusion. But I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with being like, it felt like it was a distraction from what mattered, or you preferred seeing this, that, and the third. Fine. But there was people. Because there's a difference between not liking an arc and being a straight up hater. And there was some straight up haters. Being like, My Hero Academia's fell off, blah blah blah, the structure makes no sense, it doesn't know what it's doing anymore, what a joke. Apparently that joke came back with yet again another 10 out of 10 Season 7 moment that has me say this particular moment should be the highlight of an already good season. But we've had, for like 8 weeks in a row now, these moments. Gentle coming in and being the sole reason that Coffin in the Sky doesn't crash and destroy the goddamn world, as Labrava does her part and stops the hacking. The fact that an arc that, I'm not going to say a majority, but a good handful of people didn't really appreciate when it popped up, has now been made even better given where you get to see these two criminals go in the endgame, while also just allowing them to develop. When you see Gentle stop an entire prison break single-handedly, you might as well just give him the Best Boy award right then and there. I have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my mind break in real time to that My Hero Academia greatness, it's going to be over there exclusively. So, you have an army, an infinite army of doubles coming at everyone. You have a father with one arm and part of his ribs missing, being told by his best pal to stop your son and beat his ass senseless. There's so many little moments that in any other author's hands should be like, oh yeah, that's the highlight. And yet, Gentle freaking criminal. When was his arc? It was some seasons back there. Could you imagine telling an anime only? And maybe some people even did try to tell people, I don't know. But can you imagine telling an anime only at the time that, yeah, Gentle Criminal's gonna have one of the best moments in the endgame, just you wait. Like, nah. People ain't. I didn't even hate Gentle. I thought he was a pretty cool character. Like, there were some issues. Like, My Hero's always had some issues where it's like, oh yeah, I know pacing, flow, maybe you want to see something, sure. But to the people who straight up thought Horikoshi didn't know what he was doing, and that he was distracting with a pointless filler arc, whatever other bullshit they were saying at the time, look at what that did. This is why I don't follow this trend online, where, you know, in this case we're following an adaptation, so there's more story ahead that I don't know about, but it exists. But when it comes to brand new stories like, say, anime original stories, or even maybe a show like this but you haven't read the manga, there's often people who will be like, oh, plot hole, or this is an issue, or blah blah blah. I try not to say that until I see the full product, because it's impossible to say if something's a plot hole or underdeveloped or underutilized until you see the whole package. Now granted, a show as long as My Hero, you're not going to really be able to necessarily say, oh, was that actually an issue for you, unless you do a whole ass binge in a row, because then everything's going to be fresh on your mind. But I think that's why the exaggeration is when people are like, oh, this was a shit arc and it ruined the flow, or what a pointless, like, you don't know that. It's understandable to be cautious of a show like My Hero because of how large the cast is. It's quite literally impossible without thousands of episodes to make every single character feel extra developed or utilized. But here's the counterpoint to that. A show like My Hero shouldn't feel like every single character is absolutely utilized to their highest degree, because while from their point of view, they would be the main characters in their own story, for us, the main character's story is Deku's journey with his abilities and, you know, trying to become the #1 hero, but it quickly evolved from that to basically stopping Shigaraki. That became the main story. So anyone else who can add to that is excellent, but the idea that the world's clearly living and breathing outside that cast is actually an important detail that I think works. But yes, having a character that would normally be a one-off joke meme that got arrested and sayonara bitch, see you later, turning into the quite literally the reason that things aren't over right now. Now, he's not the only reason. Everyone's collective efforts are the reason. But in this moment, his little trampoline bounce to stop Coffin in the Sky from falling is literally the reason everyone ain't dead right now. And then the cherry on top, that bullet, there's so many cool characters. And the fact that that bullet stopped Shiggy from touching the ground and destroying everything. Because he's basically in the state of, like, his body's, like, kind of coming into his true form here. So he's not really able to move too much. But if that, like, even a little tiny touch from his pinky would have been enough to destroy everything. Because now we aren't limiting his quirks. Just insane stuff across the board. Now, because there is some other great stuff besides Gentle, Deku stuff, he is winded as hell. Don't blame him. The gear shifts clearly just, it's exhausting, but the one highlight is if he can get an attack in, you know, Shiggy ain't moving too much. And then all the twice doubles and just, damn. Hawks has had enough, bro. He's basically, like, it's one of the colder lines, but man, like, he's basically, imagine telling a dad, like, hey, you gotta go put your kid out of his misery. Do it. And then the awkward moment when the villain's like, bruh, are you actually the villain? This dude has no arm, half his ribs gone. You're telling him to drop a fight, and he's like, shut the hell up. He's already defeated you once. It doesn't count as, you know, dropping a fight. Hawks has had enough. I still think Hawks and, like, Best Jeanist ain't making it to the finish line, but goddamn, do they keep pushing. And it's fantastic. People can call me a shill. People can say whatever they want, man. This is like the perfect season. There has not been a better My Hero Academia season, like not even close. Because if all this stuff would have happened in Season 6, it wouldn't have been as impactful. The fact that you thought Season 6 was such an end-of-the-world level threat, and it wasn't even a goddamn breadstick before dinner. To see where we've gone, My Hero as a whole isn't a perfect series. But like I've said, at its very worst in anime form, it's been fun. And you can't say that for a lot of shows that's now run 150 some odd episodes over like 7 years. Let me know your feelings down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have those full live reactions over on Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll just give you a video shout out. So today we got Fan 2003, Renee Viro, CZC, Albion, Katrin, Austin Henshaw, Nick Howard, DYR, and we also have Xtresh. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you'll have a good one.